Left for dead, the battlefield was silent now. Smoke rose from burned tanks and broken machines. Bodies of soldiers, both human and alien, lay scattered across the dry, cracked earth. Nothing moved, except a weak hand, barely lifting from the rubble. Nieli, a young alien girl, was still alive. Her body was bruised, her left leg twisted under a fallen metal beam. Her breathing was shallow, and her pale violet eyes were wide with fear. Her armor, once bright with her clan's colors, was torn and stained with dust and blood. She looked up at the sky, where the ships had flown away. They had left her. Her own people. She had screamed when they ran, begging them not to leave her. But no one looked back. Her commander had simply said, "Useless," then disappeared into the smoke. Now she was alone. Far across the field, Sergeant Cole Rayner, a human soldier, slowly climbed over a broken wall. He had lost contact with his squad. His comm was dead, and his side bled through his uniform. But he was alive, and he was moving. Cole stepped carefully between the ruins, his rifle in one hand. His eyes scanned the wreckage, looking for danger, or survivors. He didn't expect to find either until he heard it. A soft sound, a whimper. He froze. It wasn't human. It was small, weak, like a cry from someone who had already given up. He followed the sound, and then he saw her. Nieli's body tensed as the tall shadow appeared through the smoke. Her heart raced. A human. She tried to move, to crawl, but her leg wouldn't work. She reached for a sharp piece of metal near her hand, ready to fight, even if she was too weak to lift it. But the human didn't shoot. He didn't shout. He just stared and lowered his weapon. Cole took a slow step forward, raising one open hand. She flinched. He knelt down beside her, keeping his voice low. "Easy. I'm not here to hurt you." Nieli didn't understand the words, but his tone wasn't angry. It wasn't cold. She blinked at him. His face was rough, dirt-covered and bleeding, but his eyes were calm, kind. She expected a gunshot, but instead, he pulled out a water pouch and gently held it near her lips. She stared at it. Was this a trick? She shook her head weakly. He didn't push. He set the water down beside her. Then, carefully, he lifted the metal beam from her leg with a grunt. She screamed in pain but didn't black out. He looked at the injury. "Fractured," he muttered. "Bad but not hopeless. Still no weapon, still no orders, just help." She couldn't believe it. Why? Why would he save her? He reached into his pack and took out a small roll of bandages. She tried to speak, her voice cracked. "Why, not kill?" He looked into her eyes and said just one word. "Choice." She didn't understand it. Not yet. But it was the first word a human ever said to her without hate. After wrapping her leg and giving her pain meds, Cole looked up at the darkening sky. More drones would come soon. Both sides would send cleanup teams. Anyone still breathing could be captured or executed. He knew that. Still, he looked back down at the fragile alien girl lying broken beside him, and he made a decision. "I'm not leaving you here," he said. Then he picked her up. She didn't fight, she just whispered, "Stay," and for the first time in her life, someone did. As they disappeared into the shadows of the canyon, the battlefield behind them fell silent again. But something had changed. A war had paused for one moment, for one act of humanity. And it had begun, with a soldier and a girl everyone else had left for dead. A broken wing and a safe cave, the canyon was cold. The deeper Cole Rayner went, the darker it became. Sharp cliffs rose high on both sides. Wind rushed through like a whispering ghost. It was the perfect place to hide, or to be buried. But Cole wasn't thinking about hiding for himself. He looked down at the fragile alien girl in his arms, Niley. Her breathing was shallow. Her eyes were closed. Her skin, normally soft purple, had turned pale. She was light, barely more than a shadow wrapped in broken armor. Her leg was still bleeding through the bandage he had tied back on the field. He walked faster. By the time Cole found the cave, night had fallen. It was a small crack in the rock, barely wide enough to crawl through. But inside it opened into a low chamber, dry, safe, and hidden from drones. He laid Niley down gently on a bed of sand. Her eyes fluttered open. She looked at the rough walls, the fire Cole built from dry sticks, the human soldier kneeling beside her, not a prison, not a trap, just a cave, and a choice. Cole handed her the water pouch again. She didn't pull away this time. She drank, slowly, then whispered, "Why? Help me?" Cole didn't answer at first. He just looked into the flames. Then said, "I've seen enough death, I don't need to add to it." She didn't understand all the words, but she felt the weight in his voice. She nodded. He pulled out a ration bar and broke it in half. "Not much," he said, "but better than starving." She took the smaller piece, turning it in her fingers, like she didn't know what it was. Then she nibbled it. Her face twisted. She coughed. Cole smirked. "Yeah, humans can't cook either." Later that night, the wind howled through the cracks in the rock. The fire burned low. Niley lay on her side, watching Cole from across the cave. He sat with his back against the wall, rifle across his lap, eyes half closed. "Are you, soldier?" she asked in her soft, broken voice. He nodded. "Was." She frowned. "No more?" He opened one eye. "Not today." She blinked. "Because of me?" He looked at her. "No," he said. "Because I finally did something right." They fell into silence again. But this time it wasn't cold. It wasn't empty. It was a silence that said, "You're not alone." In the morning, Cole woke first. Niley was still asleep, her injured leg propped on a rolled jacket. He walked quietly to the mouth of the cave and scanned the sky. No drones, no patrols, but that wouldn't last. He had to think. No comms, no backup, a half-dead girl with him. And yet, he didn't want to leave her. Not now. Not ever. Niley woke to the smell of heating gel packs. She sat up, groaning softly. Cole looked back. "Still, hurts?" She nodded. He tossed her a gel patch. She caught it barely and pressed it to her leg. The warmth made her hiss, but she didn't complain. "You strong," he said. She looked confused. "What?" He pointed at her. "Strong." She gave a small, tired smile, then pointed at him. "Strange." Cole laughed for the first time in days. Fair enough. By the second night, the cave felt different. Not just a hiding place, but a quiet space where two enemies had become something else. Not friends. Not yet. But close. When Cole wrapped her blanket tighter around her shoulders, she didn't pull away. When she fell asleep beside him, she dreamed not of war, but of safety. Far above, in orbit, a long-range drone picked up faint heat signals from the canyon floor. The report was sent silently across the stars. Someone was alive down there, and soon, they would come. But for now, in that hidden cave on a broken planet, a soldier and a girl shared warmth, silence, and something neither had felt in a long time. Peace. The language of kindness. The days in the canyon passed slow. Time didn't follow hours anymore. Just firelight, footsteps, and the quiet rise and fall of breath inside the cave. Niley sat cross-legged near the flame, small hands wrapped around a warm metal cup. It wasn't real food, just broth made from ration powder, but she sipped it carefully like it was rare. Across from her, Sergeant Cole Rayner cleaned his rifle with slow, steady hands. They didn't speak. Not because they had nothing to say, but because words weren't needed right now. She watched the human move, precise, quiet, careful, not like her soldiers. Her people had always been loud when they were angry, cold when they were proud. But this man, this human, was something else. He did not touch her without reason. He did not speak just to hear his voice. He only acted when it mattered. And everything he did said one thing: you matter. That morning she had tried to speak. She pointed at herself and said, "Neely." He looked up and nodded. "Neely." She smiled, then pointed at him. He hesitated, then tapped his chest. "Cole." She repeated it softly. "Cole." "Close enough," he said, smiling. She pointed at her cup. "Water?" He gave a thumbs up. "Yes, water." She touched the fire. "Hot, hot." She touched her wrapped leg. "Pain." Cole's eyes softened. He nodded slowly. "Pain." She pointed to him again, then raised her hand in the air, palm open, unsure. He tilted his head. "What's that?" She thought for a second, then closed her eyes and whispered, "Safe." He didn't answer right away, but then he slowly reached out and gently touched her hand. Just for a moment. Not to hold, not to claim, just to say, "Yes, I understand." That night, a storm swept through the canyon. Winds howled through cracks in the cave walls. Dust blew like smoke. The fire almost went out. Cole quickly moved to block the cave entrance with a heavy shield plate. Sand hit his back like knives, but he didn't stop until the wind died down. Nayeli had pulled her blanket tight. She watched him as he walked back toward her, face scratched, jacket torn. "Okay," he said, sitting down beside her. She stared at his bleeding arm, and without thinking, reached forward. He stiffened, but didn't pull back. She pressed her hand to the wound gently, then looked him in the eye and said, "Stay still." He blinked. "You understand that much?" he asked. She didn't answer. She just began to clean the wound with a soaked cloth, slow, careful, like he had done for her. Afterward, he whispered, "Thank you." She said nothing, just smiled. Small, quiet, but real. By the 5th day, their language had grown simple words, gestures, smiles. She would say fire and point. He would say eat and offer food. She would say sleep and curl her fingers in the air. He would laugh softly and nod, but the strongest words weren't spoken. They were in the way he gave her the last half of his ration, in the way she offered him her blanket when he coughed at night, in the way they sat beside each other in silence and felt seen. One evening, as the stars blinked through the cave's cracked ceiling, Nayeli asked a question. "Why? No kill?" Cole didn't look away from the fire. He didn't lie. "I've done enough killing." She looked at him. "But me, alien." He turned to her, eyes steady. "So am I. To you." She thought for a long time, then said, "You, not alien. You, kind." His throat tightened. He wasn't used to being called that. Outside, the wind blew gently. Inside the cave, 2 survivors sat shoulder to shoulder. Not soldier and enemy, not human and alien. Just 2 hearts learning how to speak, without fear. And somewhere deep in the dust and stars of the galaxy, a bond was forming, one stronger than orders, stronger than war, stronger than silence. The hunter becomes the shield. The wind had changed, not the cold breeze that moved through the canyon at night. This was something sharper. Wrong. Cole Rayner felt it first. As he poured water into the small metal cup, his hand paused midair. His eyes narrowed. He turned slowly toward the mouth of the cave. No sound. No movement. But something was out there, watching. Neely was sitting on the ground, drawing shapes in the dust with a stick. Stars, she had learned from Cole. Stars, and moons, and planets. She looked up and saw the human's face change. Not fear, not panic, but focus. She stood quickly. "What is it?" she asked in a quiet voice. Cole moved toward the entrance. He crouched low, pulled his rifle from the gear pile and whispered, "We're not alone." A silent drone hovered high above the canyon. Its single eye blinked red as it sent a signal across space. The message reached a dark ship hidden behind a nearby moon. Inside, a soldier with cold eyes read the report. Captain Ro Talek, leader of the Echo Cleaners, a brutal squad trained to erase survivors. Especially those like Nayeli, he smiled. "The traitor is alive, the human is with her." "Orders?" asked one of his men. He stood. "Finish it. No mercy. This time, she doesn't escape." Back in the cave, Cole was packing quickly. "We have to move," he said. Nayeli looked confused. "Where?" "Anywhere but here." "But you hurt." "I'll manage." She hesitated, then said, "I won't leave you." His eyes locked with hers. "And I won't let them take you." Before they could exit, a sound cracked through the sky. A plasma shot. It hit the rocks just above the cave entrance, sending dust raining down. Cole tackled Nayeli, pulling her back. "We're pinned!" Two black-armored soldiers stood at the ridge above them, rifles aimed. A voice rang through a speaker. "Surrender the girl, human, you won't be harmed." Cole shouted back, "She's not yours." Another voice answered, "Then you'll die with her." Inside the cave, Cole knelt. Beside Neely, "You have to run." She shook her head fiercely. "No, I'll hold them off." Tears filled her eyes. "They'll kill you. Better me than you." No, I won't let that happen." Footsteps echoed outside. More were coming. Cole took a deep breath and handed her a small knife. "Take this. If they grab you, fight." She pushed it back into his hand. "You fight, I protect you." He stared at her in shock. "You don't have to." She stood, and for the first time, her body began to glow, not bright, not fire, but soft, like moonlight behind thin clouds. The soldiers charged into the cave. Cole raised his rifle. Nayeli raised her hand. The first soldier fired. Cole stepped forward to shield her, but the plasma bolt bent in the air, curving around them. It struck the wall. The second soldier screamed. His weapon sparked and broke apart in his hands. They stopped, frozen. Nayeli's voice was soft, but strong. "I am not weak. I am not property. And I am not alone." The air around her shimmered, not with heat, but feeling, like grief, rage, and hope wrapped into light. Cole looked at her like she was made of something the stars had forgotten. The soldiers backed away, slowly. One dropped his weapon, another ran, and in the quiet after, only the wind moved again. Cole lowered his rifle. His hands were shaking. Nayeli turned to him, breathing hard. I didn't know I could do that." He smiled, eyes wide, voice low. "I didn't know anyone could." Later, as the night wrapped around them again, they sat near the fire. Nayeli rested her head on Cole's shoulder. He didn't move. He just said, "You saved me," she whispered. "You first." Outside, deep in the sky, the dark ship watched the feed cut off. Captain Ro narrowed his eyes. She's awakened, but inside that cave, 2 hearts beat steady. 2 lives now bound. Not by war, not by blood, but by the moment he chose to stand in front of her, and the moment she stood beside him. The spark within her. The cave was silent again. But something had changed. Nayeli sat near the back wall, staring at her hands. They no longer shook. Instead, they pulsed faintly, soft light moving just under the skin, like stars trapped beneath. Her veins, the air around her felt warmer, alive. She wasn't afraid of it. She was afraid of what it meant. Cole watched from the other side of the cave. He didn't speak, didn't rush. He just cleaned the rifle slowly, keeping his eyes on her. Calm, patient, He had seen soldiers lose themselves to power before, but this wasn't madness. It was awakening. Nieli finally broke the silence. Why me? Cole looked up. What do you mean? I'm not special. I never passed my warrior tests. I was always too quiet, too slow, too soft. He leaned forward. Maybe you were never the problem. Maybe their idea of strong was broken. She looked at him, unsure. I only lit the air because I was scared, she whispered. He nodded. Yeah, but you used it to protect, not destroy. She stared at him, tears forming. That's not what we were trained to do. Then maybe, he said gently, you were trained for the wrong war. Later, Nieli sat alone in the entrance tunnel. The wind outside had gone still. Stars peeked through the cracks in the rock. She closed her eyes, and something inside her opened. A memory, not her own, flashed behind her eyelids. A tall woman in silver robes stood at the center of a glowing circle, her hands raised as light poured out of her. Around her, wounded soldiers, human, alien, and unknown species, began to rise, healed. Voices echoed. The Flame Keepers do not conquer. They do not run. They shield the weak. They carry the spark. The woman turned. Her face looked like Nieli's. She woke with a gasp. Cole was already beside her. What happened? I saw her, she whispered. One of them, from the old myths, the ones our elders said were stories. He raised an eyebrow. And? She's real. Nieli placed a hand over her heart. And I carry her fire. The next day, Nieli stood outside the cave under the rising sun. She faced the open canyon, her arms stretched forward. Cole watched from the ridge as light danced across. Her fingertips, gentle, controlled, not wild. Not fire, not lightning. Something more. Pure. It bent small stones, lifted sand, warmed the air around her without burning it. She opened her eyes and smiled. I'm not afraid of it anymore. Cole smiled back. Good. But their peace wouldn't last. On a nearby ridge, a second drone hovered silently. It watched, recorded. Then, flew back toward orbit. Its signal carried the message. Target confirmed. Flame signature verified. Send backup. She is no longer harmless. That evening, Nieli sat beside the fire, her head on Cole's shoulder. Do you think they'll come again? She asked. He nodded slowly. Yeah, they will. Then what do we do? He looked down at her glowing hands. You light the sky, she whispered. And you? I stand between you and whatever they send. She reached for his hand and held it tight. She was no longer just the girl left behind, no longer the forgotten soldier. She was a flame keeper, a protector, born from peace, not war. And now, with the only human who saw her as more than a weapon, she was ready to rise. The last walk to the beacon tower. The canyon was behind them now. Ahead, open land stretched like an ocean of stone and silence. No cover, no shadows, just burning light from two suns above, and the faint outline of the beacon. Tower far in the distance, that was their only hope. Cole Rayner adjusted the strap of his pack. He limped slightly from an old injury reopened during the last attack. He didn't complain, just kept walking. Beside him, Nieli walked barefoot, her boots too damaged to wear. Her feet were bleeding, but she never said a word, because every step mattered. If they reached the tower, they could send a long-range distress signal. Maybe then anyone would listen, not to beg, but to warn. Are you sure it still works? Nieli asked softly. Cole looked ahead. It's old tech, pre-war, was built to survive planetary collapse. We just need to get there. She nodded. Then we keep moving. They passed the bones of metal beasts, burned tanks, wrecked carriers, old drone wings buried in dust. Neely glanced at each one, her fingers glowing faintly as she walked. Cole noticed. "What are you doing?" "I'm remembering them." "The machines?" "No," she said. "The people they forgot." By nightfall, they reached a small ridge. The tower was now closer, its tip barely piercing the clouds like a broken spear, but something else pierced the sky too. Cole saw it first. A flash, a shadow, a low rumble that shook the sand. "Ships, black and fast. Enemy. They're coming," he said. Nieli didn't hesitate. "Then we run." They ran. Even wounded, Cole kept pace. Nieli's hand sparked with light, leaving faint trails behind them as they crossed the open field. Gunfire lit the sky behind them. Warning shots, drones, swooped low, scanning, hunting. Cole fired once, hitting one mid-air. The rest scattered, but only for seconds. "We won't make it," he growled. "We will," she said. "How?" Nieli stopped, turned, and faced them. She raised her arms. The wind changed direction, the air shimmered, and then a wall of heatless light burst upward between them and the attackers like a dome, alive and humming. The drones hit it and fell. Nieli fell to one knee. Blood dripped from her nose. Cole grabbed her. "That's enough," she whispered. "No, just a little farther." They reached the beacon tower just as the light dome cracked behind them. Cole carried her up the broken stairs, floor by floor, until they reached the top chamber. The console was ancient, dusty, rusted, but still blinking. She crawled to it, laid both hands on the panel. Her glow moved from skin to machine, and the screen lit up bright. "Voice authorization received, flame signal ready." "Say something," Cole whispered. Nieli closed her eyes and spoke into the beacon. "This is Neely, child of no house, marked traitor by command. I am alive, I carry the gift, and I am not alone." She looked at Cole. "If you hear this, come not to rescue but to witness the truth they tried to erase." She pressed the send button, and the signal blasted into the sky. Across nearby systems, the signal was picked up. By rebels, by pirates, by smugglers, by exiled elders, and by soldiers who remembered her name. Back at the tower, Cole knelt beside her. "You did it." She was weak but smiling. "You stayed." "I told you," he whispered. "Always." Far below, ships circled again, closer this time. The wall of light had faded. Cole readied his rifle, but Nieli sat tall now. Not hiding, not afraid. If they were going to die, they would die seen. Then, another signal appeared on the horizon. A ship. Small. Fast. Human-made. A rebel crest burned bright on its wings. Cole's comm crackled to life for the first time in days. "Raynor, we got your signal. We see the girl. We're coming in hot. Hold on." Nieli's eyes filled with tears. Someone heard. Cole held her hand tight. They all will now. And as the stars lit up one by one overhead, the girl who was abandoned by her own kind, and the soldier who chose to stay became a beacon to the galaxy. He called her comrade. The beacon tower stood tall, cracked, faded, old, but alive. Its signal now raced across systems, breaking silence that had lasted too long. Down below, dust clouds rose. Two forces were approaching fast, from opposite sides. One flew the banner of Nieli's former command, sharp and silver. The other bore the mark of Earth's unified infantry, wide-winged and red. Both sides came armed. Both sides came expecting war. Nieli stood at the edge of the tower platform, body wrapped in a long coat. Her legs still trembled, her skin glowed dimly, and dried blood marked her chin. Beside her stood Sergeant Cole Raynor, weapon slung, jaw tight, eyes steady. He wasn't a commander, he wasn't a hero, but today, he was the line between what was and what could be. The ships landed, doors opened, armored boots hit the dirt, guns raised. From the alien side, Commander Vrel Osun stepped forward, his voice echoed through a speaker. "Nieli, of Clan Tath Virel, you are charged with desertion, collaboration with the enemy, and misuse of restricted energy." He looked directly at her. "You will be taken, now." From the human side, Captain Jonas Mendez marched ahead, flanked by soldiers. He looked at Cole. "Raynor, you disobeyed. You went dark. You aided an alien fugitive." He paused. "But you also triggered a rebel beacon protocol. That signal can't be ignored." Cole didn't blink. "She saved my life." Mendez frowned. "You sure she's not controlling you?" Cole stepped forward, calm, firm. "No, she's leading." The standoff grew sharp. Osun pointed. "The traitor belongs to us." Mendez raised a brow. "You left her in the dirt. You don't get to claim her now." Osun's troops took aim. So did Mendez's. One breath away from war. Then, Cole took off his rifle, tossed it on the ground. He raised one hand, and with the other took Nayeli's hand in his. Gasps even from his own team, and then he said the word, loud, clear, one word. "Comrade." Silence. Thick, stunning, even the wind froze. Nayeli's eyes widened. She stared at him. "Comrade," she whispered. He nodded. "It means equal. It means we stand together." Commander Osun's voice trembled with anger. "She is no soldier." Cole turned to face him. She stood when all others fled. She protected the weak. She risked her life for peace. That's a soldier. That's a comrade. Then he turned to his own side. "She is what we should all be." The tension snapped, but not in fire. One by one, human soldiers lowered their guns. Then, slowly, so did 2 from the alien side. Then 4. Then 10. Even Captain Mendez stepped back. He looked at Nayeli, then gave her a short nod. "Welcome to the fight worth having." Nayeli's legs buckled, but not from fear, from something bigger. For so long she had been discarded. For so long her name had meant shame. But now, her voice had reached across battle lines, not because she had power, but because she chose mercy. Cole turned to her and whispered, "You don't have to run anymore." Tears welled in her eyes. "I was ready to die alone," she whispered. He squeezed her hand. "You never were." In the days that followed, a new force was born. Not one of nations, but of volunteers from both sides. Soldiers who believed in something better. And at its heart stood a girl who once crawled through the dust, and a man who bent down to lift her up. In military records, Nayeli would later be listed as civilian, reclassified Comrade Class Flamekeeper, and beside that, a note. Protected by Sergeant Cole Raynor, Earth Infantry. Refused evacuation. Stayed to build something new. And the story that echoed through space after that wasn't about war. It was about a soldier who didn't shoot, and the alien girl who, in return, lit the sky with hope.